Chapter 21. I walked out of the administration building Tuesday evening on my way home and found Brandon leaning against my car, obviously waiting for me. I wondered why he didn't just call. "Hey, how are you?" I leaned against the car next to him. "Okay," he said. "How are things?" "Good, I've been busy with work, the clinic, and getting things under control. I'm doing pretty well, all things considered." I stood. "Why don't we get in so we have more privacy?" I didn't want to risk being overheard. I'd become sensitive nearly to the point of paranoia recently. I'd heard about a comment made in public that had led to questions and suspicions from normal humans. The kindred responsible had been given a severe beating for endangering the pack. I understood it, but I didn't want to be on the receiving end of that, ever. "If you want to." He stood. Something seemed off. I unlocked and opened my door, then hit the button to unlock the passenger's side. Sitting down, I pulled the door closed and waited for Brandon. "Like I said, I'm doing good. I've learned I have a talent that lets me sense power in all kinds of people, not just the kitsune, though it works better among us." "Oh." It's what made me think something was different about Rain. Nothing about him had changed, it was me. I was sensing his power. I'm still baffled how he's kept his secret, but you did too. "What is it?" Brandon turned so he was facing me. "I can't say, it's his secret, not mine. This talent also let me sense how powerful our Lysandros is when I first met him." I twisted so I was angled toward him. "He can't be more powerful than our Anikitos." "I'm pretty sure he is. But he's content. Bill's a good leader. Until Bill's not strong or he's ready to step down, I think Hank's happy letting him lead." I'd have never guessed. The only way I did was this talent. I felt a physical shock from the strength of his power when I shook his hand, but that may be because he has the same power. We aren't sure yet. "So, you're not only close with the Anikitos and Electo, you've become friends with the Lysandros too?" "I don't know Hank well, I haven't spent much time with him. So far we get along fine. I'm becoming friends with Alexis though. She's a lot like me and easy to know." "Now you're close to the Anikitos, Electo, and Harmonia?" Bitterness leaked into his voice. "Is that why you never have time for me, or is it because of that human you're spending time with?" I was shocked. I'd never heard Brandon talk like this. He said the word human as though it meant something contaminated. "I've been spending time with Devon, but he's not human. He's kindred too, he just doesn't shift." "Which makes him human." Disgust dripped from his voice. "I was human until a month ago," I spit out, his words making me angry as my heart ached with his disgust. "I never knew you disliked humans so much." "I don't, but you're spending all your time with him." "I don't like it." I tried to reason with him. "Devon lives in my complex. H is an old friend who's only recently returned, why shouldn't I spend time with him?" "I don't want you to," Brandon turned sullen. "What has come over you? Why are you acting like this?" "You're mine." I blinked, speechless for at least a minute. "No. I belong to myself. I do what I want. You of all people should know that," I said once I could speak. "You've been mine for years. Now you shift like a proper kindred and can be mine forever." "What has gotten into you?" I wondered where this was coming from. "I don't like you spending time with him." Brandon seemed to think he was being reasonable. I disagreed. I was losing my patience. I'm an adult. I choose who I spend time with. "If you don't like it, you can go to hell," I said. He moved so fast I barely saw him move. He swung his right hand and slapped me across the face. It shocked me, but not enough to put up with it. Before I thought about it, I clenched my left fist and punched him in the nose. I was hampered by the steering wheel, but it didn't stop me from doing some damage. His nose crunched as my fist made impact, and it started bleeding immediately. "Get out now," I ground out through clenched teeth. "I'm sorry," he said, one hand covering his nose. "I don't care. Get out." I wasn't willing to listen. I wanted him gone. "If you want to talk, then call. Give me some time and do not show up without calling first. This is going to affect things." "I didn't mean to. You just made me so mad." "I don't care, get out." "Okay, I'll go. I'll call you tomorrow." "You do that." I didn't care if he did or not. "Now get out." I was ready to hit him again if he didn't get out immediately. I'm going, he opened the door. While he was still climbing out, I started the engine, and as soon as the door clicked shut, I backed out of my parking space. I went straight home. The incident with Brandon still on my mind, I walked swiftly across the courtyard and climbed the stairs to my apartment to find Devon sitting on the top step. I'd forgotten I'd invited him over for dinner. I stopped and saw in his face the moment he spotted the mark Brandon had left. He stood to let me pass, but I couldn't miss his anger as he realized what the red mark on my face was. For the first time ever, I wished my apartment was farther from work. "Who hit you?" Devon's voice was soft. "Don't worry about it, I took care of it." I unlocked the door and let us both inside. "Who hit you?" He followed, refusing to drop the subject. "Brandon? But I took care of it. His is worse than mine." I hung my purse on the inside knob where I kept it. "Why would Brandon hit you?" Devon wouldn't let it go. "Because I told him I'm an adult and I decide who I spend time with. If he didn't like it, he could go to hell." "Wait a minute. You've lost me. Who doesn't he like you spending time with, that he would hit you over it?" Devon looked confused. "You." The confusion lifted. "I think I understand." "Good, then you can explain it to me because I still don't." I flopped into one of the chairs near the sofa and scowled, not at Devon, but at the situation. He sat on the edge of the sofa, facing me. "Tell me exactly what happened and I'll do my best." I took a deep breath and let it out. "Sure, give me a minute to change. Why don't you pull the casserole dish out of the fridge and stick it in the oven at 350 degrees, set the timer for an hour, I'll be right back." I stood, went into my bedroom, and closed the door. I took a comfortable pair of shorts and an old t-shirt from the closet and changed. I checked my suit for blood spots before hanging it up, and then I pulled my hair up into a messy ponytail and washed my face. The cool water was refreshing. I didn't bother to fix my hair before joining Devon in the kitchen. In the kitchen, I found, in addition to getting our dinner in the oven, Devon had helped himself to a soda. Then he handed me the glass of iced tea he'd fixed. It was nice having someone do things for you occasionally. "Thanks." I took a deep drink, almost draining the glass. "Dinner is started. You ready to tell me what happened?" He took the glass and refilled it. "Sure, but let's go back to the living room. I want to be comfortable. We have a while until dinner is ready." In the living room, I sat on the couch, pulled my feet up and tucked them underneath me. Devon sat on the other end of the sofa, but he turned to face me. So, he laid one hand on top of mine, moving his thumb back and forth. It was soothing. I walked out of the office and there he was. It started normally. I told him about the incident with Brandon, up until Brandon had hit me. "Then? You said you had dealt with it." "Well?" I ducked my head, embarrassed at having to admit it. "I punched him." "Where?" "In the nose." It seemed right at the time. I had to use my left hand because of how we were sitting. It's probably a good thing because I still felt it crunch. It started bleeding instantly. I'm sure it's broken. I don't want to think about the damage if I'd hit him with my right. Good for you. He had no right to hit you. Devon's voice was soft but determined. I know, I paused. Anyway, I hit him and I told him to get out. He tried to apologize, but I wouldn't listen. I kept telling him to get out, and as soon as he did, I left. I came straight home. By then I'd forgotten you would be here. I was focused on getting home. I wanted to change, to put on something comfortable and unwind, maybe try to catch my balance again. And I made you talk about it. Yeah, you made me talk about it, but it's helped some. Company is probably a good thing too. I would have sulked if I was alone. I know what you mean. He picked up his soda and took a long drink before setting it down again. You wanted to know what's going on? It would be nice. I'll need a few answers first, then I'll see if I can explain. Okay. You said he was nasty when he said I was the reason you weren't spending time with him. How so? He kept calling you human, but the way he said human was like it was a dirty word. I've never heard him like that before. I've heard it plenty, though not from him. I heard it a lot before I left. His thumb stilled, but he kept his hand over mine. You probably haven't seen it, at least not yet. There's a group of kindred, the ones I encountered are about our age, but there may be others. They believe anyone who doesn't shift is inferior, not as good as those who shift. Since they naturally shift, they must be superior to those who don't. I don't know how big the group is, or if it exists outside the valley, but it's a nasty one. Sounds like it. From what you've said, I think Brandon's a part of it. He wants you. He's probably wanted you for years, but couldn't have you unless you shifted. Now that you shift, you can be together forever. That explains it. It leaves a sour taste in my mouth, but it makes sense. I've never seen Brandon like that. He's been my friend for years. That's probably where it would have ended if you'd never shifted. Now he seems to believe you belong to him. Not for long. When I'm willing to speak to him again, I'll be setting him straight. Be careful. He's shown he thinks you're his, and he's not above getting physical to try to keep you. I don't want you getting hurt again. I'll remember. I shifted for the first time since sitting down. I pulled my hand out from under his and picked up my tea, taking another long drink. Thank you for listening to all the drama and explaining what he's thinking. The logic of the male mind escapes me. Hey now. Don't lump all men in his category. Not all of us are on the caveman level. I know. It never occurred to me he was another caveman. We've been friends since kindergarten. Sometimes we hide a lot. He turned until he faced forward too. Don't I know it? There's been so much revealed in the last few weeks, I don't know how I'm handling it all. Just like we all do, one day at a time, Devon sympathized. Pretty much. Devon and I visited. We talked about a couple of new movies we wanted to see until dinner was ready. After eating, we called it a night. Devon left, and I took a hot bath and went to bed. I dreamed of Brandon and Devon fighting, not over me, but for respect from each other.